Hello and welcome to my channel. This is gonna be a long video. Today we are gonna talk about the Ruben family, and I chose to put them all in the same video, so it's probably gonna be the longest because we have three family we need to talk about today. The first one is the one still living in downtown, and that is Joshua Ruben with his family. And then we are gonna talk about, I don't remember the exact, then we are gonna talk about his daughter that is living here, Cynthia Rubin with her family, I guess we can say. And last but not least, the last Rubin family who is living here with Martin, Ruben, Joshua's brother, and Allegra. But yeah, I think that was enough for an intro, so let's jump into the video. And here we have the first Ruben household. We're gonna go through a couple of them, but this is the first one. Who is living here is Joshua Ruben with Caitlin Ruben before Langerak. And they have Shiloh Langerak living here too. She just moved back from college and she's going to live here until she finds out what she's gonna do with her life. In the family tree, we can see that we have Joshua Ruben. He has a brother, Martin Ruben. Both of those two is from university. And I think they both are living, or I think Joshua is living with the in the frat house or whatever it's called, and I think Martin is living with Allegra and Jane, I think it was, but I'm not completely sure. I'm not completely sure, but I think that's how it is. And then we of course have let's start here. Joshua got a child. He only got one child in his whole life, and that was Cynthia Rubin. And he got Cynthia with Heather Huffington. At that point, they were married. Joshua and Heather were uh, married for a couple of years. I think an okay amount of time, actually. Um, but they ended up getting divorced because of some cheating, funnily enough. But yeah, so Cynthia is his daughter, and he has his grandchild Hakim Ruben. And now he is married with Kaylin. They got married in their late adult life, just because they really liked each other. And Caitlin finally found a man that was free and, well, actually could be with her. So yeah, that is who she is with now. The weird thing is, though, that we of course know Skyla, who is her child she got with Daniel. And then we have Shiloh Landgrab. Shiloh Landgrab's dad. And now let's take it slow. Shiloh Landgrab's dad is Martin Rubens' daughter. No, is Martin Ruben. So yeah, she's the daughter of Caitlin and Martin. And as we know, Martin is the little brother to Joshua and married with Allegra. This happened, uh, if I remember correctly, this happened just after Martin got married to Allegra, and it happened before Caitlin got really interested in Joshua, and then they found out that they liked each other. So Caitlin is aware that they are brothers, but she didn't think that anything would come out of any of it. And two things, and something came out of both things. So it was kind of messy, but in my head, Joshua knows that Shiloh is his brother's child, and as you can see now, they are somewhat friends, but in her teen years, they were for sure not friends. she didn't really like him, and he definitely had a hard time accepting her. But he really liked Caitlin, so he accepted it in the end. But yeah, there's a little bit of clipping, and I haven't given Shiloh her a makeover yet. I will probably do that before I get to her introduction. But I feel like we should start with Joshua. So this is Joshua. We're gonna have a little bit of stinky flies around him while we are introducing him. Joshua is retired. He got to be a criminal mastermind, and he was that a couple of days. So he was in his weird super villain costume. This is also a first time for me that a criminal is hit level 10, so I was quite surprised over the outfit, but there it is. He is super sloppy. He is pretty outgoing. He's really active. He is in the middle of serious and playful, and he's grouchy. As you can see, he's a fortune sim, and I actually thought he would go into law or something like that, but in the end, he wanted to go into a criminal career, and I actually feel like that fit him quite well. His bio says Joshua doesn't know where he wants to focus his studies. He's too easily distracted by sorority girls and pizza. um, and I guess with sorority girls, he meant Heather, because he was really attracted to Heather for a long time. Let's look into his memories. Yes, here we have. He ended a friendship with Ashley quite early in the university time, but I guess they got friends again. He was living in the in the I don't know what it's. Is it a frat house? Someone tell me, is it a frat house? um, with Ashley Pitt and Castanova and I think Kevin Bear and one more. Yeah, I think I moved Jimmy and Eric into their or they at least they got into that house. Yeah. Um, but yeah, he passed and he moved out. His brother passed shortly after. He moved out and he already there went on a date with Heather and they had their first woohoo and they kissed and had a lot of time together. Oh, okay, interesting. He got a job in the sports career, but that wasn't the job he wanted, even though he got a promotion straight after he went into the criminal career because that was, in the end, what he wanted. At this point, he lived in one of the small apartments. Apparently, he went on a date with Nina. Uh, oh, I guess they had an attraction at that point, and well, romance sim, and Nina probably just wanted to go on a date with him, so she did. Nothing uh, got out of that date though, and I don't think they were much together afterwards. Maybe. Oh, they were. Yeah. But he ended up falling in love with Heather, who he got engaged to and even married. This was still while they were living in a small apartment. For some reason, she said yes, even though she was a romance sim, but she said yes. I guess they really liked each other, and they ended up moving to this house. I guess shortly after he had an short affair with Nina. But as I remember it, nothing more got out of it. Um, After they moved in here, I feel like he found out that Heather was the one, and he didn't need all the hassle with more than one woman. So he started just focusing on his job. Shortly after they got Cynthia. Um, at this point, Heather didn't know exactly what Joshua was working as, but I also feel like she didn't care much. I feel like she was just like, well, there's going money in, and we need that when we have this baby, so that is fine. And I think she also had her mind other places than just the family. As you can see, he kept getting promotions and stuff like that, and everything seemed really good, and more promotions, and then he caught Heather cheating. And not only he caught Heather cheating, the cheating was with his brother. So as you can see, the two Ruben brothers didn't end up having the best relationship. Because while he was married, his little brother went in and was with his wife. And they even got to be he only is enemies with Heather, but I feel like he was pretty much also enemies with Martin. They at least had a lot of fights. This is with Heather though, and because of all this very aggressive fighting, they of course broke up. That wasn't what they should do. This was not good. And I guess this was also where Martin got married to Allegra. So it wasn't the best time. Um, and that also made sense that because Martin got Shiloh with Kaylin around the same time he got married with Allegra, if I remember correctly. So at this point, Joshua was just. I don't even think he had met Kaylin. He was just in this weird breakup with his wife, and it was so bad that he got demoted. And I remember it as getting really demoted. He almost went from nearing the top to almost at the bottom, so that was starting completely over. So it was starting over and working his way up, and I feel like he got demoted because maybe Heather knew something about his work, even though she had never really shown that she knew what he actually did, and maybe she told something to someone, um, or because of the fighting, the police had been involved, and that put some focus on the criminal business, and that was no good. But shortly after, he apparently had a short fling with Kiara. Kiara is Roman Sim from the oldies, and we know how that always goes. And he apparently had a little bit of fling with her. But some time after, without ever talking to Heather or his little brother again, he found Caitlin by chance, and they had a good date where they kissed and they even made out. And he actually stopped there because, ooh, is this really what he wanted? And he focused on work again. But then they met and had a woohoo, and they felt like, okay, this is gonna go in the right direction. And I think Kaylin finally felt like she found someone that liked her and actually wanted to be with her. So they got engaged, and she moved in after they got married. And the sad thing was, at this point, they both were in the age where they couldn't get any more kids. I know that Caitlin probably would have loved to get one more kid and with the man that she actually married, but in the end, it was what it was, and I think Joshua was fine with just having that one kid. Even more because Caitlin, when she moved in, she had to she had Shiloh with her. I feel like Skylar just moved out to college at that point, but I'm not completely sure. I feel like Skylar and Cynthia actually were good friends. If I yeah, they were at least friends, and I feel if I remember correctly, they were at college at the same time. Um, they were together, and it was fine. I can see he apparently had a little affair more with Kiara, but I guess he is a criminal, so he's maybe not the best of hearted people. But in the end, he's still with Caitlin, and they are happy. He got his a mastermind in criminal mastermind, and so he hit his goal. Um, Not this one, but the other one. And he's still with Caitlin. Um, they're just happy to be those two. Their life didn't go the way they wanted, at least not their love life, but now in the end they at least have each other, and I feel like they understand the whole cheating thing and how that is a hurtful thing to have going on. But yeah, that was Joshua, and here we have Caitlin. Um, Caitlin is, of course, a family sim. She's really neat. She's shy. She's active. She's a little bit more serious, and she's nice. Her bio is apparently empty. um, she, we already have heard a little bit about her past, and everyone knows about her affair with Daniel, and she had an affair with Dawn. Um, for some reason, she never really got a child with Dawn, but she ended up getting a child with Daniel. Um, she apparently caught. I think that was why they never got a child, because she caught Dawn probably kissing Cassandra, but that is what it is. And she was on a date with Daniel to like make up for that, and at this point I'm pretty sure she really wanted to get married to him, which we know wasn't possible because he was with Mary Sue and he stayed with Mary Sue. She moved into a little house, one of the trailers in Pleasantview. um, and I guess after she found out that Daniel and her was not gonna be a thing, she tried again with Dawn, and that was just not gonna be a thing either. And that was when she found out that the woohoo she had had with Daniel ended up being a kid, and that was just not an easy thing for her. I feel like she was a maid though. I don't know where this is from. But she got Skylar, and I feel like she wanted. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like she wanted to still marry Daniel here, but well, he just didn't want to. Um, and he caught her, or she caught him cheating. If it was with Mary Sue or someone else, it didn't really matter. I think at this point she found out that no, it's just not gonna be those two. And the same with Dawn, and that was just really quite sad for her. She kept feeling they cheated on her, but honestly, I feel like they were more cheating on others with her. um, but she really kept trying, as you can see, and it kept going back and forth. And that was until she met Martin Ruben. At that point, I think she was kind of giving up, but she met him, and that ended up in in a child. And I think shortly after this, she found out, okay, he's actually married, and so I cannot go that way either. So she stopped it quite fast until she then met Joshua. And I think in the beginning she didn't think much about that they had the same last name, but she just was like, oh, he's really nice and he's seems genuine and he is divorced. um, and she just took the name for her on her and was like, no, I'm fine with this. This is good. Marriage is what I wanted. Maybe I have a kid with his little brother, but he didn't. He doesn't seem to mind too much. Um, at least not for Caitlin because they loved each other, but apparently he didn't have the best of feeling with Shiloh. She moved in with her two kids, and then Skylar went to college right after, um, and everything just went how it should go. She got some grandchildren, and now life is just going how life is going. She finally found a man, not a man she got a kid with, but she finally found a man at least. um, she still have a crush on his little brother, but yeah, no one else. She's staying strong with Joshua. So here we have Shiloh. I gave her a little bit of a makeover, so she looks more as her uni self. I feel like when the winter has gone over, she will be old enough to maybe have found herself a little bit more and maybe change her style, but we will see when we get so far. As you can see here, she is really neat. She is shy, lazy, really playful and nice. In her bio it says, Shiloh has always felt her family uh, keeps something secret. Her half-sister keeps trying to tell her something about her dad, Joshua. Oh, I guess I had another mind of her thinking that Joshua her dad. Hmm. But their mom always cut it off. Is Joshua really her dad? He has always seemed to not be happy with her. But if he isn't, who is? I feel like that could make sense. That, of course, those two know that she wasn't Joshua's daughter, but maybe she felt like maybe Caitlin never really told her that Joshua wasn't her dad. They have some of the same features because Joshua reminds a little bit of Martin. So I guess it would make sense that if they never told her, which would make sense, she never knew, but she would always have this feeling that Joshua didn't really like her. Um, of course, because she was a daughter of his little brother, that who is a person he really doesn't like. I feel like if his little brother hadn't been the one to ruin his marriage, he would maybe have a better feeling with Shiloh and his little brother. But yeah, now it is where it is. I feel like it would make sense for the family actually to hold it kind of secret. Skylar, of course, no, because she know when Shiloh was born. Caitlin really didn't have anything to do with Joshua. Um, but why should Shiloh know? Making this somewhat of a normal, happy family, maybe that was the way. But yeah, she just went out of college, and as you can see, she really wants a job. So at some point, I'm gonna calculate which job she would fit best into. We should look into her memories. Let's see what has happened there. She is the one that went steady with Leonard Broke, who is the son of Billy Broke, one of the two twins. Um, and they were together for a long time. Uh, they snuck out together and had a lot of stuff to do with each other. Um, it's quite late that she actually fell in love with him. They were steady a long time before she fell in love. He was head over heel for her, and I feel like she was like, "Yeah, he's nice. I like him. I like the attention. It's fine." Um, okay, she stopped being friends with Willow for some reason. I'm not sure why. Um, but oh, I guess yeah, because Leonard and Shiloh went to college together. But before that, she had a little flirt with Theo, and I think this happened on my teen community lot, which is one of the bowling alleys in downtown. Cause she liked Theo, and Theo was at that point going steady with Yasmin, which we saw in the Swain family. But shortly after this, she also had a public woohoo with Leonard. I was dumb enough to put a photo booth in the bowling alley, and I think that is why all of this has happened. It happened not right after each other because no one got mad, clearly. Um, but she was a little bit adventurous, apparently. Then she moved to college, where she had her first kiss with Theo. So they woohooed before they kissed. That's interesting. That's you do you, I think. And they fell in love. I think at this point she was kind of done with Leonard. They had been going steady from almost this beginning of their teen years, and I feel like she maybe kind of got bored with him and just wanted to do something else. She's a knowledge sim, so knowledge is more interesting for her. I don't even think she has something else. No, she's just full knowledge. And I guess she just find Theo kind of attractive. If we look into here, it's actually quite the same for those two. So we will see where she ends up. If she is gonna be with any of those two. I don't feel like Leonard is gonna pursue her and try to go steady again. If I remember right, I tried to make him ask in college, but she denied it. But then it should stand in the memories. Maybe it didn't happen. I actually don't know. I feel like it would have, but I could remember wrong. Um, but yeah, so she has some love for both these two boys, and I don't think she's gonna be with any of them, but we will see what the future holds. And here we have another Ruben family. I actually think this is the old Broke house that none of the Brokes is living in anymore. And why I think this is because we have the pool. I have, of course, made it a little bit bigger, but there is the pool. In this household, we have Allegra Gory, now Ruben, and she is now married with Martin Ruben. They have no kids together. They married quite late, and as we know, before she married him, she had lived many years with her son's father, Casta Nova. Um, she has a really uh, yeah, they lived together for a long time, and they got Louis, but they never got married or engaged or anything. They just liked each other and had a good time together. And when she found Martin and fell in love with him and actually wanted to be with him and engaged and so on, she had a talk with Castor, and they agreed on being just not together anymore, or had an agreement that this was fine. She even moved out and didn't take Louis with her because, well, he had a good time in his childhood home and with Castor, so she felt like that was fine. Again, it was a really open and, well, yeah, things are what they are, relationship, family. But yeah, they are living here. So let's look a little bit closer on Allegra. And here we have Allegra. She is a knowledge sim, and she is really a knowledge sim. She is in the middle of sloppy and neat. She's shy. She's really active. She's serious, and she's quite nice. Her bio says Allegra is bleeding heart. Is a bleeding heart romantic is a bleeding heart romantic, but you wouldn't know that from looking at her. That's true. She dislikes the entire sorority as a matter of principle and sticks to her own small circle of friends instead. And I feel like that was her, Jane, and Martin. She had a little bit to do with Castor at that point, but that really flourished later in college or after college. Um, so yeah, let's look into her memories. Oh, she got chased by a wolf apparently. um, yeah, see, that's the weird memory with Molly. This needs to be removed because they never had anything to do with each other at all. So that was quite weird. As you can see, Castor actually was her first kiss in college, and they had their first woohoo and fell in love quite early in college years. But doing college, she was good friends with Jane, and later she also got good friends with Martin. As I remember it, it was her, Jane, and Martin living in the same house. She slowly fell in love with Martin already in college, and they had a woohoo and first kiss and stuff like that. But when they moved out, she moved into a small apartment with Castor because they found out they had quite the same look on life, that they wouldn't want to be tied down. They just wanted to be with someone that understand their creative mind and their lust for knowledge. And those two just really understood each other. Though Castor was a lot more romantically involved with a lot of other people and stuff like that, he always had a home with Allegra, and Allegra was completely fine with all his going out and being with other people. So, in that sense, they fit perfectly together. She apparently reached the top of the science career so quickly, but weren't there in the. I guess this was a mistake. But they, of course, ended up getting Lewis when they lived together. And that was when they moved into the house that Lewis grew up in and now lives in with Sune. And already there, she just popped all the maximizing all the different skills and had really a lot of focus on that. Um, and slowly as time went on, and Lewis got to be a child, she found Martin again. And they actually fell in love after a date, and Martin asked her to marry. And she was like, okay, let's do it. And that meant that she ended up moving out, leaving Castor and Lewis behind. Of course, after talking with Castor about it, and Castor was like, yeah, well, if you want to get married with Martin, you should get married to Martin. And they'd get married. Um, and she even quit her job. I guess I didn't see that she had been. Maybe that makes sense then. Yeah, she quit her job and then she wanted a job in the paranormal instead, which I feel like fit her better. Lewis went to college and yeah, stuff just went their way and that was fine. She had a short period where she kind of went a little bit back with Castor and kissed him a little bit and was flirting and stuff, which in her mind wasn't wrong, but she knew that Martin wouldn't be happy about it if he saw it. So she didn't she never did too much with it and still doesn't do too much, but as you can see, she still loves him a lot. I feel like Castor and Allegra will always have this special bond to each other and no one can take it away. And I'm pretty sure if Martin catches them being flirty together and he doesn't accept it, Allegra is just gonna be, well, it's not my problem. Uh, I can I can be with whoever I want. This is just how my life is, and probably leave Martin. So yeah, she's living here now with Martin. Martin, she's really happy about it. She really likes him, and I feel like she feel some steadiness here. But Castor will always be in the back of her mind for sure. So, Martin, I have a love-hate relationship to him because I feel like he's a really interesting sim, but at the same time, I really don't like him. I feel like he's kind of annoying and a little bit all over the place. He never did what I wanted him to, which like I played one space, but sometimes I try to make stories go in a specific direction, and he never really wanted to follow it in the way I wanted. But in the end, I feel like it he made his story way more interesting than the story I had in my head. So in the end, it was fine. As you can see, he's a knowledge sim, as Allegra also are. He is really neat. He is shy, lazy, in the middle of serious and playful, and he's really nice. Martin can hardly believe he's really related to a frat member. Rather than drilling on it, though, he keeps his nose grind to the grindstone, hangs out with his roommate, and tries to avoid the sorority girls. Um, and that was where he was living with Jane and Allegra. Um, I even think, if I remember correctly, he had a little bit of a fling with Jane in college. But it was mostly him and Allegra back then. If we look at his memories, oh yeah, his job was in medicine, and he almost reached the top, but he got to be an elder, so retirement was hitting him. If we look here, nope, he had a little bit of a fling with Jane, but actually a lot more with Jane. Already here, he had his first kiss with Heather, so there was some signs that that was something in there. There was something in the air. Apparently a lot. He had been a little bit together with Heather in high school, not in high school, in college. Um, but he ended up falling in love with both Jane and Allegra. And I feel like when they lived in the same home, it was fine for them all three to have a little bit to do with each other. And I feel like that was mostly because of Allegra's look on life. So you can see already here, Martin knew how open-minded and free Allegra was. So if he's not gonna accept that she's gonna have a little bit to do with Castor here and there, he kind of see it coming though. He had a woohoo with Allegra and kisses, and he first there fell in love with Heather apparently. He moved out, and I think he moved out to a little apartment. And there he lived alone for some time, where he was just working. Um, and already there, getting his maximizing skills. He had a little. Oh yeah, this was where the thing with Heather started again. As you can see, he apparently also had something with Coral. I didn't remember that. That's interesting. I guess Coral. Maybe that was after Herb's death. Did we go through that when were no, because the oldies were dead, so I couldn't go through their memories. I guess Cole had a little fling with Martin. I guess it was after Herb died, but oh well. Martin apparently had a little bit with Coral at some time, but there wouldn't go long before she died, so I guess that's why it didn't go further. If it didn't go further. Oh yeah, he went on a date with Allegra here. Um, oh yeah, see that is so awkward. He was all over the place when, but when was he with? Oh, yeah, okay. So he actually got engaged to Allegra, and shortly after he cheated on her with Heather. And I feel like Allegra would probably just fine with it. But because it's his brother's wife, it wasn't maybe the best idea because he completely home wrecked that family. He even lost the fight to his brother. He lost his brother as a friend, and his brother broke up with his wife. But after that, he was like, "Oh well, whoops, I'm out." So he ended up moving, I think, to this broke trailer, and in the end, he got married to Allegra anyways. But even though he was married to her, he had a little fling with Caitlin. And this is again before Caitlin really got to know Joshua. Um, so it wasn't because Martin wanted to stir up anything with his brother again, but I feel like he just wanted to go a little bit out or something like that. He at least had something with Caitlin. So again, I really feel like if Allegra is going to have something with Castor again, Martin needs to just accept it and be okay with it, because he has clearly been around even after they got married. Um, and that, of course, ended up being a child from cheating, Shiloh. And Shiloh, of course, doesn't know. I feel like Martin No, he's not even. He doesn't even know. He doesn't know that he has a daughter. I think he maybe think it's just Joshua's kid. I feel like he dipped out as soon as he could, and when he saw that Joshua had something with Caitlyn, I feel like he was like, okay, I that was good that I dipped out because like that could have been really messy too. So now he's just living his older days. He retired and just getting all the skills done and stuff like that. They don't have much else to do, these two. Um, we will see what happens. You can see the house here. It looks a little bit different, but it has much of the same features as in the original Goth house. But no, not Goth house, broke house. But yeah, that's this part of the Ruben family. So here we have the last part of the Ruben family, at least for now. In this household, we have Cynthia Ruben, which is the daughter from of Joshua and Heather. And as you can see, she has a child who is called Hakim Ruben, and she got Hakim with Omar Swain. And Cynthia and Omar have had a life together almost from the teen years. I'm pretty sure they went steady. I'm gonna look at into it when we get closer to the Sims themselves. And she is, I feel like Cynthia, because she is from, what can you say, a mafia family almost. She has tried to find her own way to go through life, and she kind of want to get whatever she wants. Um, and when she first met Omar, she was sure that already from the teen years that he was gonna be her man. Um, but I think that Omar was more attracted to the idea of getting to know Joshua, uh, be- because he had already dabbled a little bit in the criminal atmosphere, so he kind of knew a little bit about who Joshua were. Um, so I feel like that was why he wanted to get close to Cynthia, so he maybe could get like a cheap way into the criminal atmosphere through her dad. It didn't really work in his teenage years, but he's still trying, as you can see. So much that they got a kid together, and but I'm not sure it's gonna keep working like this. I feel like after Joshua retired, though, that Omar maybe feel like he doesn't need this family tie anymore. Maybe he can find his own way to get to the top of the criminal career. But it's typically that Cynthia is going to stay somewhat in the atmosphere of criminals, even though all she want to do is being a superstar. So here we have Cynthia. As you can see, she's really slubby. She is shy, really active. She is quite playful, and she's really nice. Um, Her bio says, oh, this is a I wrote this in English when I wrote it. I guess the game have translated it into Danish. I'm gonna try to translate it into English while I read. I'm sorry. Cynthia is a smart girl, a young girl. Uh, she dreams of love and the universe. Her life is has been filled with a mom that wasn't really interested in the family and a dad that just always were working. But she didn't need. She never missed anything. Like she had everything she needed in life, other than her parents. Her parents. Uh, Her parents didn't seem to really be happy together though. And she was And when she just had to be was going to be when she just turned into a teen, she found out that her mom or her dad unfaithful, and they got divorced and the family separated. Um, Cynthia has had hoped that her father uh, would have been more around after the divorce, but that didn't really happen. But instead, she met this boy. On her on in the teen bowling alley, she quickly fell in love and dreamt about this perfect life she could have with him. Will her father accept this? And will she ever forgive her mother and get a good relationship with her again? Cynthia, when that was a little bit messy, I'm sorry. Since Cynthia loved her mom in the beginning, but after the divorce and how messy it was, she couldn't stand her mother. She thought that it was completely her mother's fault and she did something completely wrong, and she just couldn't reconcile with her mother again. And I don't even think they have a good relationship now, if they even have one. No, she doesn't. And but she apparently hates Martin more. She of course knew that it was her own dad, it was her uncle ruining the marriage, so she didn't like any of them. Um, why is she in family with Burb? Hmm? Oh well, it doesn't matter now. So yeah, she hoped that she would find her own love in life, and hopefully that would be Omar. But it seems like it's maybe not gonna be. And why I know this is, oh, I don't even know who this man is. Interesting. Um. Ooh. Oh yeah, that's true. So much has happened. God damn it. Okay. Let's go to her teen years. Of course, her parents, really early in. It looks like it maybe had happened on her own birthday. Yeah, I think it might have happened on her birthday. Um, she had her first kid with Sune at that point, but it never really got much further than that. She had a little fling with Andrew, and they even were together at that point. But I maybe think she found him a little bit too awkward, a little bit too weird, so she didn't continue that, if I remember right. Um, no, because she really quickly after met Omar, and already on the first date, she fell in love with him. She felt like he was really nice and kind of a bad boy. So he had like this mystery about him that she really liked. Um, she got caught sneaking out, which was hard for her because that meant that already there Joshua would have a bad image of Omar. But she didn't stop there. She even ended up going steady with Omar because she was set on this would be her man. And they were together. Uh, and I still am a little bit confused why she has the memories of Leon because they are not in family together. Well, of kind of, yeah, yeah. Because Leonov is of course the biological son of Heather and Castor, and Cynthia's mom is Heather. So yeah, they are half siblings, actually. Well, but ignore that because she doesn't really know him that well, does she? No, she knows he's existing, but I don't think she knows that he is actually her brother. Let's go on. She went on prom. Oh, she went on prom with Skylar. I guess that was Skylar that didn't really have anyone to go with, so she wanted to go with Cynthia, and Cynthia said yes, and as best friends, of course. So you can see the Langrag and the Ruben have always had something to do with each other, and I feel like Skylar also felt like the marriage between her mother and Joshua was weird, but things happen as they happened. She then went on prom with Omar, and they got best couple. And I'm pretty sure that that has been Cynthia's work. She made sure that they had all the focus and was the loving pair in what can you say, in the prom hall. Um, in college, she apparently fell in love with Andrew, but nothing more really happened there because Andrew had his focus on Valdi at that point. And honestly, Cynthia were more interested in keeping her relationship with Omar at that point, I feel like. She moved into a little apartment and met everyone in the apartment and around. And then she ended up. No, I don't think he. No, no, no. I'm sorry. She moved back home, um, where she got a job, and I guess that was also the time where oh, did they first get married there when she I guess so. I guess they first really got married when she moved back home. Um which is fine. But shortly after she moved out of the home because it was too crowded and she felt like she needed to have her own. First in an apartment and then she moved into where they are living now. And why she did that was because she was pregnant. And she got a little kid called Hakim, and of course it was Omar's kid. And when she got him, she called up Omar and were like, "Okay, let's go on a date." And she told him about the baby, and I'm sure he already there was like, "Oh no, oh no, I'm not sure I'm ready for this." And she proposed to him. He denied quickly because that was not the way he wanted to go about it. I feel like his own emotion really stopped his ambitions there because this would have been a good way into Joshua's life, but he was like, no, oh no, I'm not ready for this. Um, so she was like, okay, well, damn you, I'm gonna find someone else. I need a man. I need someone that can take care of me and my kids. So she went on a date with Mike Tinger, and they did all the things they needed to do. And parent, this is these are always a little bit weird. They had a good date, and she fell in love. Um, and they even ended up getting engaged. Mike Tinger is a family sim. He's a little, I think he's actually somewhat in the same age as Cynthia, but they just never really talked a lot. But when they finally met, she was like, "Yes, this is the man I need. This is perfect. He seems nice. He wants to actually get married and probably get kids." But at the same time, she was still living in this home with Omar because that was her old plan. And she just was sure that she wanted to be with him until she met Mike. It's so messy at this point because she met Mike, they got engaged, and she was sure that she would be with him. I know she had something with Omar. Yeah, she really liked Omar still, and they had a little bit together. But I feel apparently she also had something with Billy. Um, and this is, yeah, because she had a little bit of a fling with Billy. And because she's still living with Omar, which is a person she still is really attracted to, she of course kind of cheated on of Mike in that way. In the end, it says broke up with Mike. Yeah, in the end, the thing is, okay, Mike also had something to do with another sim. And that little affair ended up being an affair where twins got out of it. Um, he got 2 kids from this little affair. So he went to Cynthia and was like, I'm sorry, this is not good. We need to break up. I cannot play you for a fool. I did a thing and now I have some kids I need to take care of with this girl, and I need to step up and take responsibility for that. That, of course, broke Cynthia's heart because she thought that she had found someone that she could be with. Um, they lost their friendship, and then she apparently had a rebound with, with Pierce Johnson. Um, so that's where she is now. I feel like she would probably soon kick Omar out because that's just not gonna go anywhere. Um, and I feel like what maybe is gonna happen later. She's not even in love with Omar anymore, but maybe she will find some peace with Billy. Maybe, maybe not. It depends. She has a son. She doesn't really necessarily need any more children. But yeah, she at least has someone she has a crush on. But we will see if she finds the family image she wants. And here we have Omar Swain. He is, of course, the twin to Jet Swain, and he is a son of Shanna Swain and Eric Swain. Swain. um, his personality is sloppy. He's really outgoing. He's really active. He is playful and in the middle of grouchy and nice. What I want for him in the future is being the new mastermind of the criminal career. They rarely wants to be criminal sims, and it's the calculator I use. I'm not sure it's the best. I maybe want to find another way to calculate their jobs, but he at least I chose for him to wanting to be a criminal career because that fit the story with Joshua and Cynthia. So yeah, his bio is empty. I actually thought I had written something for him, but I didn't. The thing with Omar is he never really like he loves his family and he loves his brother and his sister, but he just never really felt like everyone else. He always found the mystery of the criminals a little bit interesting, and he had heard a little bit about Dustin Broke, even though he had been dead for many years in the back alleys in the city. People were still talking about him because he just disappeared someday, and not many knew that he died from a cold. But stories still walks around that he died to the criminals and stuff like that. Maybe he was poisoned or something like that. But there was a lot of mysteries about that, and it was often talked about in the dark alleyways and stuff like that. And Omar always found it so interesting and mysterious, and he wanted to find out was actually happening in all the criminal areas. So that was from the beginning something he really wanted. And he had heard a little bit about, because he had a foot in some gang stuff, he heard about Joshua Ruben. That normal people maybe doesn't hear a lot about, but in the criminal sphere, he is very well known. And he was going to class with Cynthia Ruben, so he could put 2 and 2 together, and he found out that there was a connection there. That was in the beginning why he started up with Cynthia. And he did that in the teenage years. As you can see, they went out and had all these kisses, as we saw. They went steady. I will not say that she forced him, but he probably said yes more to get closer to Joshua than actually for Cynthia's sake. Have all the woohoo and like, and on the side wasn't okay for him. He didn't mind that. At that time, I'm pretty sure he was a romancing. Yeah, he was. Um, he is also bi, as you can see. He went out with the Laurentines, who also went to college with him when they got so far. Um, he, in his teen years, his best friend was Peyton, a dreamer. They started out being a flirt, but in the end, they just ended up being really good friends. And he, even though he fell in love, he felt like they were more really good friends. Apparently, he also had a kiss with Sam at the point. It was probably at the in the bowling alley. Um, so he was adventurous. He flirted a lot with different people and had woohoos and stuff like that. And that was, of course, while he was still going steady with Cynthia. When he went to college, he rewrote his aspirations to knowledge, but his romance side for sure was taking over. He ended up kissing Gia, and that was of Lauren. Apparently, was the person that got mad about that. Um, and he lost him as his best friend. But he didn't mind too much because Gia was new and exciting, and she also looked very different, and he kind of liked that. He found that very, again, mysterious, and something about mysteries just really piqued his interest. And they were together. He moved back home very shortly, if I remember correctly, and he, of course, got a job um, in the criminal career, and things went up quite quickly. Um, I think it was because he kind of told that he was still going steady with Cynthia. No one needed to know that they maybe didn't have too much to do with each other at this point. But it was, oh, he apparently got Gina with Gia at that point, and the same. I'm pretty sure in the same round he got Hakim with Cynthia, where they also had that bad date, and he said no to engagement. And I feel like the criminals found out because not long after he got fired, and even though Cynthia isn't really a part of the criminal career or something like that, the criminals know that Cynthia's dad is Joshua, so they of course have like this protection of her, and therefore Omar got completely fired, and he kind of lost his way into to the criminals that way. Um, he ended up going to a family reunion and just getting some normalcy and some being around some people that actually liked him, and he really liked too. Um, After that, he didn't know that Cynthia had got engaged at this point. So after a failed, well, not a failed date, actually a pretty good date with Lauren, I guess he made up with Lauren. But he really wanted to go steady with Cynthia so he could get back into the criminal's career. But at this point, she was engaged with Mike, and she kept saying no. Of course, she was engaged. He didn't know this, so he kept asking, even after he got back into the criminal career. I feel like this way was maybe in another gang with some that maybe didn't like Joshua Ruben at that point. So they didn't have a problem with getting Omar in. His last try with Cynthia, it was a no. And after that, he just say, okay, well, it is what it is then. He had apparently had a woohoo with Sandy, but that's where we are now with Omar. I think he's soon gonna be kicked out, um, or he's getting allowed to stay here, and Cynthia is gonna move back home, or maybe in with Billy. It depends on what happens. There's a lot of possibilities, but I think the Cynthia and Omar era is long gone if at this point. Um, it has been a long ride, but a good ride, I guess, at least for some of them. And here we have Hakim. He is the son of Omar and Cynthia. He is quite neat. He's really outgoing. He's quite lazy. He is playful and quite nice. Uh, his bio doesn't really say anything. As you can see, he just grew up into a teenager. He was a child before. Um, he doesn't know. Oh, well, actually, he knows his little sister and his. I guess it's an aunt, but he's not the best friendship with any of them. He really likes his parents. I feel like the whole drama between them is not something he doesn't know. It's not something he knows a lot about. He's of course gonna know it when one of them moves out, but I feel like Cynthia's gonna be. I don't think she would tell anything bad about his dad. So um, I don't think there is a lot more than that to tell. As you can see, he's just had his childhood years, and we will see if he finds someone that he likes. There is a lot of people that he finds attractive, so I guess there will be some kind of romance. He is a romance sim too, so I guess he's gonna be a little bit like his dad, at least in the beginning. But he's a good-looking guy too. Just look at that face. Yeah, but that was the last Ruben family. I don't know. The houses, they, as you can see, they don't have any money at all. I'm pretty sure that Cynthia has put a lot of her money into the bank. Yep, she has. She is on her way out. I'm not sure Omar has been not as smart, but I guess that it is what it is. Is he if he gets to keep the house, he's gonna be fine anyways. But yeah, that was the last Ruben family. And we are gonna end the video here. I will just show you where the first Ruben family live, and it is here in downtown, and they are living here in the house over here. And yeah, I think that was all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!